everybody, and welcome to another episode of Too Weird Didn't Watch, the show where we make fun of movies that we have not seen, based on nothing but their weird descriptions.
I'm Brantley.
And I'm Albert, and today we're kicking things off with, it's at the top of everybody's weird movie list this week anyway, Brantley. It's the Velocipastor.
Does he preach about Raptor Jesus?
Maybe he is Raptor Jesus.
But he went extinct for our sins.
If for those of you who are like really bad at wordplay, this is a play on the word Velociraptor, but then they put pastor on the end.
Yes.
And here comes
He's
the description.
He's a fast preacher.
Sermons in 10 minutes or less or your tithe back.
He's a former auctioneer who found God. And he was also really impatient with those long Sunday services. They're out of there within 20 minutes.
It's the Ben Shapiro of preachers. I don't know. He's a conservative commentator who talks pretty quickly on his podcast.
There you go.
I do want to apologize though. This description, I usually look for a meaty description, I'll dig through people's reviews.
Velociraptor media, get it.
That's not what I was going for. I mean, yes, Brantley, thank you for catching my intentional pun that I was doing.
I'm bored with you, man.
I usually look through for longer ones, but this is a movie that's not out yet officially.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it screened at a film festival, but it's just now maybe coming to VOD in a few days. So we only have the official, whatever releasing company is putting out Velocipastor, the
little blurb,
their byline. So it's only a few sentences, but here
back
goes.
in the DVD, please watch our thing.
It is a good, solid few sentences, I will say. After losing his parents, Batman, a priest travels to China.
Which is where Velociraptors are from. So kudos to this movie.
Is it really?
Yeah.
So they never met up with T-Rex because T-Rex was from Montana?
Nope. The one from Jurassic Park did, because that's technically a Deinonychus/Utah raptor. It's not really a Velociraptor.
Okay, fair enough.
They call it that a lot.
I don't think these guys, like, Velociraptors were really like chicken size, right?
They were about 3 feet tall, 6 feet long.
So me and you have both seen the trailer for this, and we know that they are not talking about that.
No, they're going full Jurassic Park, but points there.
They're almost Albertosaurus size. Like, I think in some of those shots, it's just straight up the inflatable T-Rex costume that they're using.
Points for, albeit possibly accidentally, being accurate with the origin of Raptor.
Okay, fair enough. So he goes to China, where he inherits a mysterious ability that allows him to turn into a dinosaur.
He's part of the Dino Squad.
I will say, we were just talking about which dinosaur it was. They don't say Velociraptor in the description.
It's a good pun.
They couldn't miss the pun, but they're just like, it's a theropod of some kind, guys.
Maybe he can do different dinosaurs, and he chose that name because he's also preaches, and that sounded the best.
Yes. Yeah, Velocirex. No, wait. Rex, Tyrannosaurus priest? That wouldn't be great. I'm trying to think of what would, like...
Pastorsaurus Rex?
I mean, that one's fun, but I think
Poposaurus Rex. He gets a, what's the word I'm looking for?
The hat?
Yeah, I guess, but I was thinking like when you were elevated in position, because I'm blinking, not raise.
He gets a raise. A promotion?
That one.
Oh, okay.
My brain was convinced it began with an A, and I knew that was wrong.
Ascendancy would be...
I guess that's close.
Okay.
He gets promoted to Popehood and becomes a Rex.
The black smoke.
It makes as much sense as the Rex and Carnosaurs laying raptor eggs.
Yes. I gotta point out at this point, by the way, so they've mentioned he's a priest. He's a Catholic priest. I didn't know that Catholics referred to their clergy as pastor. I thought that was more of a Protestant thing. Although I don't think they're going for a lot of accuracy.
They're normally a reverend, yeah.
Yeah, usually you would call, Father so-and-so or maybe Reverend. I guess it's not completely inaccurate. It's just odd to me. Yeah. It's like if I went to a Baptist church and they were calling their preacher person who leads the church bishop. Like, that's in the Bible, but... It's just not how things are normally done.
Yeah.
Continuing with the description. At first, horrified by this new power, a hooker convinces him to use it to fight crime and ninjas.
Which do not belong in China. So they lose points.
Maybe it's a Japanese invasion.
So the white man has to save China from the Japanese.
I mean, they're...
With his raptor powers that come from China.
They're not exactly being respectful to anybody else.
What you're telling me is this is a rip-off of Avatar.
I guess? The Last Airbender, or
No.
are they both about... Well, I don't know.
Only in the movie was Aang White.
He's pale in the show.
He's pale. His entire race is pale, but no.
But he's the last one of his race. That's what I'm saying.
Until the sequel series.
Okay, well, I haven't seen that. Also, I haven't seen all of The Last Airbender, and I'm not going to continue talking about The Last Airbender.
You brought up cartoons this time.
That's my fault. No.
Take that. Today, I'm the adult.
That final sentence takes a lot of twists and turns. Like
really? And Ninjas takes a lot of turns?
No, the hooker jumping in.
That's the second last.
You're right. Well, and Ninjas is not a sentence, Brantley, because it does not contain a subject and a verb.
See, it's Ninjas is both. They just snuck up on you. Because they're ninjas.
Ninjas.
Ninja is a character that exists in a thing.
So he's horrified by his new power, which I don't really think that this movie is going to delve deep into the ennui of a man who's
I think it's going to be
by were-dinosaurism.
I was going to say it's going to be like Wolf Cop, like where the first time he transforms, he's like, oh no, and then it's like, no, I can use this. Cool. This is just who I am.
But
probably less chilling with booze and donuts, though.
But then, like, you switch over into,
Probably
and then there's a hooker in it. I guess typical sort of Mary Magdalene trope-ish thing.
Yeah.
But
she's probably like either convincing or just like takes sanctuary in the church, and then people pursue her in there, and then he's just like dinosaur.
I do have to bring up
for that.
the trailer for this involves him taking confession from a guy, and the guy's like, "It's been a while since my last confession. I've been selling drugs to people. I killed a guy," and like he just flips out and reaches through and kills him.
Full Raptors 100.
It's like, great job, sort of absolving this man of his sin. I don't know why he's in there confessing. I guess he's like a nominal Catholic, but
I mean, he might have had something like happen that he just like a near death thing happened. He's like, I should probably go confess.
There's also just like the delightfully cheesy line of the one priest telling him, "I don't know that God wants these men dead," and he's like, "I think God does want these men dead." It's just like one of those things where you hear it and you're like, okay, well, you've just argued with each other.
He heard from the Poposaurus Rex, and he chose to do God's work.
This is the version of the Catholic Church that exists in the Dinosaur Comics universe.
This is the version of the Catholic Church where I would go every Sunday.
Next up, we have Devil on the Mountain,
which is not in China, and no raptors to fight him.
Yes, I believe this one's also called Bigfoot Mountain or Sasquatch Mountain. Devil on the Mountain is set in a small, rural, backwoods American town.
That could be any movie.
Also, I love they're like, it's a small town.
And it's rural.
And it's rural. And it's backwoods.
And it's American.
Like, guys, you could have... Like, I'm just saying, maybe missed a few of those words. Like, there aren't that many giant backwoods American
It's just
towns.
6 houses in a circle made out of, like, loose timber.
It's the one guy, and he's just, like, holding an umbrella.
He has a campfire. People wander by. It's like, oh, population rose again. Oh, there he goes. Back to 1.
A small rural backwoods American town where a young woman named Erin is drifting through on her way to a new life somewhere. Not that that matters, though, because while driving along, Erin is involved in an accident with a gang of bank robbers led by a guy named Travis.
I'm getting very vague From Dusk Till Dawn vibes here.
Yeah?
Like the vaguest of them.
So it's
probably
like Dusk Till Dawn from the perspective of not the guys who were the bank robbers?
So yeah, the family who also get...
I forgot how the... Right, so the family gets taken captive and then they kill off most of them?
No, they don't kill anybody in the family.
Do they not?
They get to the bar and then vampires happen. And then everybody dies.
Okay. I thought maybe they'd kill somebody at some point.
No, Richie kills the hostage they had. Because Richie's crazy. And like the older brother, Seth, he's like, I'm going to go call the guy we got the deal with who's going to go pick us up. I watch her, I'll be right back, comes back and she's dead.
I've only seen it like the one time. I remember it being like a really sort of serious crime drama in the first half.
And then they get to the bar.
Tarantino let Rodriguez take over and there's just a reciprocating stake thing for the vampires at one point.
Yeah.
In an ensuing gunfight with the local sheriff, the gang...
Also the sole member of the town.
Yes. And his umbrella. It looks like an umbrella, but it's actually a gun.
He's the Penguin. He retired.
The gang kidnap Aaron and flee into the forest with the local law enforcement in close pursuit.
He can't be hid. He doesn't have a car. It's a small town.
It's a
one-horse town without any horses.
However, there is something that lives in the forest.
The devil.
Something that isn't human. And the crooks and police are forced to work together to try and survive. But is it enough?
No.
No, I don't think it is.
The girl will live. Because she's the girl.
So this is a Bigfoot movie, apparently. I got into, after I did Velocipastor, IMDb is weird with their...
It's so much more fun to say.
More like this movies.
Uh-huh.
Where if a movie... I don't know if it's, recently they disabled it, or if the movie hasn't been out for very long. They don't have the data. They just don't include that. But I was looking on IMDb for things that were like Velocipastor. They didn't have anything. When I searched Amazon, they were like, no, we don't have that. We do have all of the Bigfoot movies that you could ever possibly want to watch. So I went on that rabbit hole.
I mean, the only thing I think of that's like Velocipastor is a werewolf movie, particularly a Wolf Cop, or there was a movie based on a book that came on the Sci-Fi Channel that was just dinosaurs still lived among us, but they were in disguise.
I read that book.
It's a better book than
Anonymous
a movie.
Rex.
That one.
Yeah.
Not a great movie. Real bad. Don't watch it.
I heard that it was bad.
Regrets.
I don't know that I finished reading the book.
The book was okay. The movie was not.
It was sort of like a hard-boiled detective story, but then the detective was a raptor with a human suit on.
Yeah. I mean, in the movie, they don't have it be... Because they talk about in the book, his snout compresses down. And the book is just holograms.
Yeah.
And he's at, someone's house, and the hologram, glitches, and he's sitting there, panic punching it while he's trying to, not reveal that he's a dinosaur.
Finally, for this episode, and rounding out with another Bigfoot movie, we have Field Freak. He wants you out!
Oh.
Is the first
I guess
line
Uncle
of this.
Sam got tired of us.
It's not in all caps, but it is, with an exclamation point.
So it's energetic, just not angry about it.
Yes. And then they follow that up with, Charles is desperately trying to pen his next book.
Is it called He Wants You Out?
I don't think so. Maybe we're interrupting Charles. Maybe we've wandered.
We just ran in and yelled that he wants him out, and he's like, "What? I'm writing, guys. Rude."
No, I think that a camera crew, for a found footage movie, wandered into his hotel room, and he's like, "I rented this so I could get away from my kids for a weekend and try to pound this thing out in a marathon cocaine-fueled single 3-day session. Can you please leave me alone? I don't want to be in your stupid Bigfoot movie." So we switch from Charles desperately trying to pen his next book to strange bumps in the night escalate into a nerve-wracking encounter with the creature.
Mr. Bumpy?
Again, what creature?
Mr. Bumpy.
Who's Mr. Bumpy?
Did you ever watch Nickelodeon in the 90s?
No, I didn't have a TV in the 90s.
Okay, there was a show called Bump in the Night. It was claymation, and Mr. Bumpy was the protagonist. And he was gross. And he ate socks.
He doesn't look that gross.
I mean, the whole joke was that he's gross.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like Real Monsters.
Yes. We all know that reference. I don't... And I had a sheltered childhood, Brantley.
Yes.
I only heard about Pogs in the 2010s. Same.
Pogs was news to me.
Okay.
But I knew about Bump in the Night and Real Monsters.
So, Mr. Bumpy, I guess, is... by the way, this is not me cobbling things together. I copied this whole thing and pasted it as it was written. So we start off with He Wants You Out. Then Charles was writing his next book. Then there's an escalating encounter with the creature.
The second two I could see going together, maybe with a middle sentence. But He Wants You Out kind of just... It's confusing.
The story takes a wacky turn because we haven't had enough of those yet.
Oh, no. It's
when they hire a psychotic pest control guy.
It's Christopher Walken from Mouse Hunt.
Yes, I was about to make that reference, but I couldn't think of the title of the movie. And are led to believe rabid beavers are to blame. That is pretty delightful.
It's some beavers.
Well, I don't think they actually are rabid beavers. I think it still is a Bigfoot movie.
Maybe he uses those.
But the pest control guy's firm devotion, they're like, it's rabid beavers.
I mean, when the other option is Bigfoot, what's more ridiculous?
I guess that is fair. Beavers can get rabies. Bigfoot does not exist.
As far as we know.
As far as we know. I wish he did, Brantley. I'm one of those people man, it's such a compelling idea. But I've got so much doubt that that's even a little bit possible.
I mean, the argument for it is for a while people said that gorillas were nonsense because big hairy man things, but then we have a lot of cameras and satellites.
Yeah, we're everywhere. The only way that I could imagine it being a thing is if the Bigfoots are sentient and
actively hiding,
wildly perceptive, right? And
there's actually an SCP about that, where Bigfoots were a sentient race who just had naturally grown technology.
Yeah.
And then something there was a war with humans and they've been hiding it, and they've been actively trying to keep the Bigfoot from regaining sentience. They're just that's
interesting.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of people like Bigfoot UFO crossover theories.
Yeah, my aunt really likes to watch Bigfoot hunters.
Do they find UFOs in Bigfoot hunters?
No, that would be crazy.
No, but I remember reading about back in the day, I was an avid conspiracy theory consumer, especially stories. And one of the things that would crop up occasionally was stories where Bigfoot was sighted with the UFO.
There's been a few about lights, and one of the bigger theories is that Bigfoot is from another dimension.
Right?
And they would step through, and that's why we only see them briefly, and that's why cameras have trouble focusing on them.
I was going to say that's why we don't have any physical evidence, but okay.
Also that. I mean, there is an artifact in a Tibetan temple that is claimed to be a Yeti scalp.
But nobody's done DNA testing on it,
they
right?
won't let people do it.
Yeah.
Because it's sacred or something.
Uh-huh.
Also, it's in Tibet.
The final sentence of Field Freak reads, "It's not until they meet a man named Ned Perkins that they learn what the bumps in the night really are." It's Bigfoot, I'm pretty sure. I feel like
it's rabid beavers.
It would be great if it was rabid beavers. I would be delighted. I would be delightful, Brantley. Finally, we're going to wrap this episode up with Eyes of Fire, which I'm looking at the poster for right now, and it's actually pretty cool looking, Brantley.
Yeah.
It's like a butterfly kind of effect, or the eyes are behind a tree. I don't know. It's a neat poster.
It's pretty cool.
Look it up if you have the time. A Reverend Will Smythe, or Smith,
I think it's Smythe.
Probably. And a Y.
Yeah.
And his followers are chased out of town after Smythe is accused of adultery and polygamy. So bringing it back around to the man of the cloth angle
some shenanigans
that we started with. Yeah. I don't think he turns into a dinosaur, though, Tony.
Still not my name.
Dag nabbit!
You want to try again?
I don't think he turns into a dinosaur, though, Brantley.
There you go. You caught yourself and still was wrong. That's awesome.
Joined by a rugged woodsman, Marion Dalton, who wants his cheating wife. Wait, who's...
How does he want her? He wants to get back together with her.
Whose cheating wife does he want?
I mean, I think it's Marion's. Marion wants his own wife. But does he want her back or want her dead?
Well, considering that Will Smythe has been driven out of town for adultery...
And polygamy.
It seems like not the best guy to meet up with and be like, let's team up. My wife is unfaithful to me.
He might not know that. He's like, here's a priest that can help me get my wife together. He's like, oh yeah, a lady.
Okay, fair enough.
Eyebrows start bouncing up and down his word.
His tongue falls out of his mouth like a
cartoon. Yeah. Head temporarily transforms into a wolf, howls.
The guy's like, well, that was weird.
That was odd.
Anyway.
Man, the church does some weird things nowadays. I heard this one guy turns into a dinosaur. It's crazy.
The group ventures into a valley where dwells an ancient evil spirit.
This is my house. I'm going to eat your lungs now. Would you like some tea?
As members of the group start to disappear, the witch-bred insane Leah must discover how to thwart the spirit.
Now, is she Marion's wife? Is she just another person in the group?
Yeah, they just keep dropping us names without telling us how anybody is related to anybody, which is a little bit odd. She's witch-bred? I don't...
Like, is that meant, like, descended from witches, or do witches have, like, a breeding program?
Yeah, is she... I have the same question.
There's some not eugenics, what was it?
Eugenics?
That one. Going on.
Like... my imagination, they don't actually say what era this takes place in, but I'm assuming it's like frontier town time. So
I was picturing modern day.
Yeah?
Yeah.
With the being chased out of town for adultery?
Yes.
In modern day, they would just be like, we forgive you. And like move on, and like he would have an inspiring story to tell about how he overcame.
Depends on the town
adultery.
and how much money he has.
That's fair, I guess. The polygamy, though? In modern day, that sounds like a sort of, he's maybe
it's in Texas.
A thinly veiled version of Joseph Smith. He's literally called Smith.
Smythe.
Will Smythe. It's Joseph Smith, but played by Will Smith.
But yeah, Leah.
Yes.
And Marion Dalton.
I don't know why she has to figure out how to thwart this. I mean,
because
everybody
she was
has
bred.
to. Yeah?
Yeah, and we have 3 named characters, and members of the group are disappearing. I'm assuming she's by herself at this point.
You know, we should email the person. This was written by Melissa Martin. She's from
Do not give people's email.
She's from the University of Manitoba, and she must know more about this. We should send her an email after the show. You can look up her email. Why would you include your email in this? Hold on. Why? Like, that's literally part of her name. Like, she didn't have to include that.
Yeah.
She was
Maybe it's not a personal email?
I mean, it is her email at the University of Manitoba, Canada.
Hey, shape of water.
Well, I don't think that we're going to crack this nut today, Brantley.
Mysteries will stand.
No Melissa Martin in the cast list. We appreciate you guys listening. Thank you guys so much. If you enjoyed this, we'd love it if you'd tell a friend about it. If you haven't subscribed to the podcast already, you should do that. And we will see you guys next week with another one.
Bye, guys.
Bye.